The starship Dawn of Peace moved slowly through the dark space between stars. It was not a warship. It carried no weapons. The hull was painted white, and on its side was the blue symbol of Earth's diplomatic corps. Inside, Ambassador stood at the observation window and watched the stars pass by. She was 42 years old. Her black hair was tied back in a simple style. Her eyes were calm but tired. She had spent 15 years working for peace between worlds. She had stopped 3 wars. She had written treaties that saved millions of lives, but this mission was different. This mission would change everything. "Ambassador," said a voice behind her, "we will arrive at thee in 6 hours." Turned to see her assistant, a young man named. He was 28, smart and eager to learn. This was his first deep space mission. "Thank you," she said. "Is the team ready?" "Yes, Ambassador. Everyone has reviewed the protocols. We have the gifts prepared. The translation systems are working perfectly." Nodded slowly. She looked back at the stars. Somewhere ahead, the Empire waited. They controlled over 200 star systems. Their military was vast and powerful. For 300 years, they had conquered every species they met. They believed they were the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Earth had only been in space for 80 years. Humans had just 12 colony worlds. Their military was small. To the humans were nothing, just another weak species to ignore or destroy. But Earth's leaders believed in peace. They believed that even the could be reasoned with. They sent because she was the best. If anyone could make peace with the Empire, it was her. Said softly, "Do you know why I took this mission?" The young man shook his head. "No, Ambassador." "Because someone has to try. The galaxy is full of fear. Species hide from each other. They fight because they are afraid. But humans are different. We reach out our hand, even when we know it might get cut off." Was quiet for a moment. "Are you afraid?" Smiled sadly. "Yes, but fear is not a reason to stop. Fear is a reason to be brave." 6 hours later, the Dawn of Peace entered orbit around Prime. The planet was massive, covered in silver cities and great towers that reached into the clouds. Ships moved everywhere, thousands of them, all armed, all dangerous. A escort ship guided them to a landing platform, gathered her team in the cargo bay. There were 12 of them in total. Scientists, diplomats, translators, and guards. The guards carried no weapons. That was the rule. This was a peace mission. "Remember," said to her team, "we are guests here. We show respect. We show patience. We do not react to insults. We are here to build a bridge, not to fight." The cargo bay doors opened. Hot air rushed in. The atmosphere of Prime was thick and heavy. Walked down the ramp first, her head high, her steps steady. They were waiting. They were tall, almost 3 meters high. Their skin was dark purple, and their eyes were yellow with black slits. They wore armor made of silver metal, and each one carried a weapon at their side. They looked at the humans with open disgust. In golden armor stepped forward. He was taller than the others, and his armor had many symbols on it. This was General, commander of the Emperor's Guard. "You are the human ambassador," he said. His voice was deep and harsh. The translator in his ear turned his words into sounds she could understand. "I am ambassador of Earth," she replied. "I bring greetings from all of humanity. We come in peace, seeking friendship between our peoples." General laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Friendship, they do not need friends. We have subjects, we have slaves, we have conquered peoples, but friends," he laughed again. "No." Kept her face calm. "Perhaps that can change. We have brought gifts for the Emperor, samples of our art, our music, our science. We wish only to talk." "You wish to beg," said. "You are weak. Your species is young and foolish. You have no great fleet. You have no empire. You are nothing." "We are peaceful," said. "That is not the same as being nothing." Stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away. "Follow me. The Emperor will see you. He finds your species amusing." The human team followed through the great city. Everywhere they looked, they saw power and wealth. The buildings were made of strange metals that glowed in the sunlight. Statues of warriors stood on every corner. Screens showed images of the emperor, a massive figure with cold eyes. But also saw other things. She saw species that were not working in the streets, carrying heavy loads, their heads down, their bodies thin. Slaves, conquered peoples. The empire was built on their suffering. Walked close to, "Ambassador," he whispered, "these people, they are suffering." "I know," whispered back. "That is why we must succeed. If we can make peace, maybe we can help them too, one step at a time." They reached the imperial palace. It was the largest building had ever seen. It rose up like a mountain of metal and glass. Guards stood at every door, each one armed, each one watching. Inside, the palace was cold and dark. They did not believe in comfort. They believed in strength. The walls were covered with weapons and the skulls of defeated enemies. Felt a chill run down her spine, but she did not show it. Finally, they reached the throne room. It was vast, large enough to hold 1,000 people. At the far end, on a throne made of black stone, sat Emperor. He was old, even for a. His purple skin was lined with age, but his yellow eyes were sharp and cruel. He wore a crown of silver spikes, and his claws tapped slowly on the arm of his throne. "So," he said, his voice echoing through the room, "these are the humans." Stepped forward and bowed. "Emperor, I am ambassador of Earth. I bring you greetings and gifts from my people. We seek peace and trade between the Empire and humanity." The Emperor leaned forward. "Peace? Why would I want peace with insects? Your species controls 12 worlds. I control 200. You have nothing I want." "We have knowledge," said. "We have culture. We have new ideas. Trade would benefit both our peoples." Emperor smiled. It was not a kind smile. "You have courage, little human, I will give you that. Most species send their messages from far away. They are too afraid to come here. But you came yourself. You walked into my palace." "I believe in peace," said simply. "Peace," the Emperor repeated. He looked at General. "She believes in peace." Both of them laughed. Stood still, she did not laugh. She did not smile. She waited. When the laughter stopped, Emperor looked at her again. "Very well, little human, I will accept your gifts. I will listen to your words. But know this, the do not make peace. We take what we want. If your people have something we desire, we will take it. If they do not, we will ignore them. That is the way of the Empire." "Perhaps," said, "we can show you another way." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. For a moment, something dark passed over his face. Then he waved his claw. "Take them to the guest quarters. We will speak again tomorrow." As the guards led them away, leaned close to, "Do you think we have a chance?" Looked back at the Emperor on his throne. He was watching them go, his yellow eyes following every step. "I do not know," she said quietly, "but we have to try for Earth. For all the species suffering under this empire, we have to try." That night in her small room in the palace sat alone. She looked out the window at the alien sky. 2 moons hung in the darkness, both of them red. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother who was old and sick. Her sister who had just had a baby. Her friends, her home, her world. All of them were counting on her. She pressed her hand against the cold glass. "I will not fail you," she whispered. "I will find a way." But deep in the palace, Emperor was also making plans, and his plans had nothing to do with peace. 3 days passed on Prime. Each day, Ambassador met with officials. Each day, she presented her case for peace. She spoke of trade and cooperation. She showed them human art and music. She explained how working together could make both species stronger. They listened. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they asked questions. But mostly they just watched her with their cold, yellow eyes. On the 4th morning came to his room with news. His face was pale. "Ambassador," he said, "I have heard something. One of the palace workers told me. The Emperor is not interested in peace. He never was." Looked up from her desk. What do you mean? He is using us. He invited us here to study us, to learn about human weaknesses. He wants to know if we are a threat. His hands were shaking. An ambassador. There is more. I heard guards talking. They said the Emperor has made a decision about us. Before could respond, the door burst open. Soldiers rushed in, their weapons raised. General stood behind them, his face hard as stone. Ambassador, he said, the Emperor wishes to see you, now. What is happening? Asked calmly. We are here as guests, as diplomats. You are here because the Emperor allowed it, said. Now move. The soldiers grabbed in her team. They were not gentle. They pushed them through the halls of the palace, past servants who looked away, past guards who smiled with cruel pleasure. They were taken to the throne room, but this time it was not empty. Thousands have filled the great hall. They stood in rows, watching, waiting. Cameras floated in the air, recording everything. This was being broadcast across the empire. Emperor sat on his throne. He was wearing his finest armor. His silver crown gleamed in the light. He looked down at the humans like they were insects. Bring them forward, he commanded. The soldiers pushed and her team to the center of the room. They were forced to their knees, kept her head high. Ambassador, the Emperor said, you came to my world speaking of peace. You spoke of friendship and trade. You smiled and bowed and acted as if we were equals. He leaned forward, his yellow eyes burning. We are not equals. Every intelligent species has value, said. Every life has worth. That is what we believe. The Emperor laughed. That is what weak species believe. They are strong. We do not ask for peace. We take what we want. And those who are too weak to stop us deserve their fate. He stood up from his throne. The crowd have cheered. For 3 days I have watched you. I have studied your species through you, and I have made my decision. He raised his claw. Humans are not a threat. You are soft. You are gentle. You believe in peace and friendship and other foolish things. You will be easy to conquer when the time comes. Felt her heart beating fast, but she kept her voice steady. If you attack Earth, you will regret it. We do not want war, but we will defend ourselves. With what? The Emperor asked. Your tiny fleet, your 12 little worlds, you are nothing. And today I will show the entire galaxy what happens to species that come to them with their hands open instead of their weapons ready. He looked at General, execute them. The crowd roared with approval, heard her team crying out in fear. She heard calling her name, but she did not cry, she did not beg. She stood up. The soldiers tried to force her back down, but she shook them off. She looked directly at the Emperor. You can kill us, she said. Her voice was clear and strong. You can broadcast our deaths across your empire, but you will not break us, and you will not break humanity. The Emperor smiled, bold words from a dead woman. I am not afraid of death, said. I am afraid of a galaxy where species like you rule forever, but you will not rule forever. One day the oppressed will rise. One day the conquered will fight back. And when that day comes, remember this moment. Remember the human who looked into your eyes and did not look away. Emperor's smile faded. Something flickered in his eyes. Anger, fear. It was gone too quickly to tell. Kill her first, he said. Make it slow. General stepped forward. He drew his weapon, a long blade made of black metal. He walked toward with heavy steps. Any last words, human? He asked. Looked at her team. They were crying, holding each other. Was trying to reach her, but guards held him back. I have one thing to say, said. She turned to face the cameras, knowing that Earth was watching. Knowing that her family, her friends, her entire species could see her now. To the people of Earth, she said, I am sorry I could not bring you peace. I tried, I truly tried, but some species do not want peace. Some species only understand strength. She took a breath. Do not let my death make you angry. Do not let it make you like them. Stay kind, stay hopeful, but also stay strong. Protect each other, protect our home, and never forget that there are beings in this galaxy who would harm you simply because they can. She turned back to face. Her eyes were wet with tears, but her voice did not shake. "I am ready." Raised his blade. The crowd fell silent. Millions of beings across the empire watched their screens. The blade fell. Did not cry out, she did not beg. She stood tall until the very end. When it was over, Emperor stood up. He walked to where body lay and looked down at her. "This is what happens to those who are weak," he announced. "This is what happens to species who come begging for peace. The do not negotiate, the conquer. Let this be a lesson to all who watch." He turned to General. "Kill the rest of them. Then send their ship back to Earth with the bodies. Let the humans see what their peace mission achieved." One by one, the members of his team were executed. Was the last. He did not beg either. He looked at the camera and said only 5 words. "Earth will remember this." Then he was gone. The dawn of peace was loaded with the bodies of the human delegation. It was sent back toward Earth on autopilot. The celebrated. They believed they had shown their power. They believed they had crushed any hope of human resistance. They were wrong. On Earth, the transmission was received. Billions of people watched Ambassador die. They watched her speak her final words. They watched her stand tall even as the blade fell. In cities around the world, people gathered in the streets. They did not riot. They did not panic. They were quiet. They held candles. They held pictures of and her team. And they waited. In the halls of government, leaders met in emergency sessions. Military commanders were called in. Scientists, engineers, strategists, everyone who could help. Admiral was 60 years old. He had white hair and a face lined with age and experience. He had fought in 3 wars and won them all. He had hoped to retire in peace. But when he saw the transmission, he knew retirement would have to wait. He stood before the World Council, his back straight, his eyes hard. "They have made their choice," he said. "They have shown us who they are. They are not interested in peace. They understand only one thing, power." He looked at each council member in turn. Ambassador believed in reaching out with an open hand. She was a good woman, a brave woman, but she was killed for her kindness. Her entire team was murdered for wanting peace. He slammed his fist on the table. "I will not let her death be meaningless. I will not let the galaxy think that humans can be killed without consequence. They must learn. Everyone must learn. When you kill a human envoy, you do not show strength. You wake a sleeping giant." The council was silent. Admiral took a deep breath. "I am asking for full military authorization. I am asking for every resource we have. Ships, weapons, soldiers, scientists, everything. They think they are safe. They think we are weak. They think we will cry and hide." He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They have no idea what is coming." The vote was unanimous. Earth went dark. All communication stopped. All ships were recalled. The humans from the galaxy completely. They laughed. They thought the humans were running away. They thought they had won. In the darkness of space, Admiral began to plan. And in her grave on Earth, Ambassador waited. Her death was not the end. It was the beginning. 18 months passed. In that time, the galaxy forgot about humans. The Empire continued as it always had. They conquered new worlds. They crushed rebellions. They collected tribute from their subjects. Emperor sat on his throne and believed he was the most powerful being in the universe. Sometimes at parties and celebrations, they would show recordings of the human execution. They would laugh at how the ambassador had talked about peace. They would mock her final words. They would drink and cheer and feel proud of themselves. "Remember the humans," they would say to each other. "So weak, so foolish. They are probably hiding in their little corner of the galaxy crying." Other species heard these stories. They learned the lesson they wanted them to learn. Do not challenge the empire. Do not ask for peace. Just bow your head and accept your place. But there were some who wondered. There were some who noticed something strange. The humans had not just retreated. They had completely disappeared. No human ships appeared in trading ports. No human signals were detected. The 12 human colony worlds were silent. Even spy probes sent by the returned with nothing. The humans had simply vanished. They are building defenses, some said. They are preparing to fight if we invade. No, others said. They are too weak, they have given up, they are waiting to die. Emperor did not care either way. Humans were insects. They were not worth thinking about. He had more important matters to attend to. There were rebellions to crush, tributes to collect, enemies to destroy. He forgot about humanity. That was his first mistake. On Earth, the silence was not surrender. It was focus. Admiral worked day and night. He slept only a few hours each week. He ate at his desk. He read every report, studied every plan, checked every detail. He was building something that had never been built before. In secret shipyards hidden in asteroid fields, new warships were being constructed. These were not like the old human ships. These were weapons of war. Their hulls were made of a new alloy that could withstand weapons. Their engines were faster than anything the Empire had. Their weapons were powerful enough to crack planets. Commander was in charge of training the new fleet. She was young, only 32, but she had a mind for battle. She had studied every war in human history. She had memorized every battle tactic. She knew their strengths and their weaknesses. They are strong, she told her officers. They have numbers, they have experience. They have conquered hundreds of species, but they have one weakness. She pointed at a screen showing a fleet formation. They are arrogant. They believe they cannot lose. They do not expect their enemies to fight back. They expect surrender. They expect fear. They do not expect this. She changed the screen to show the human war plan. It was complex, detailed, and brutal. We will hit them everywhere at once. We will give them no time to react, no time to think, no time to understand what is happening. By the time they realize they are under attack, it will be too late. The officers studied the plan in silence. It was ambitious. It was dangerous. It could fail in 100 different ways. But it could also work. Questions asked. A young officer raised her hand. Her name she was barely 25. Commander, she said, they have over 2,000 warships. We have less than 300. Even with surprise, can we really win? Nodded slowly. Good question. And the answer is maybe not. We are not trying to destroy the Empire. We are not trying to conquer them. We are trying to teach them. She walked to the window of the training room. Outside, rows of new warships floated in the darkness of space. When Ambassador died, she said something. She said some species only understand strength. She was right. They do not understand words. They do not understand kindness. They understand only one thing, pain. She turned back to face her officers. We are going to hurt them. We are going to hurt them so badly that they will never forget. We are going to make them understand that killing humans has a price, and that price is more than they can afford to pay. Months passed, the fleet grew, the soldiers trained, the weapons were tested and improved. On Earth, life went on. People worked, played, loved, and lived, but there was something different. There was a quietness in the streets, a seriousness in people's eyes. Everyone knew what was coming. Everyone had seen die. Everyone was waiting. In schools, children learned about the mission. They learned about Ambassador and her team. They learned why silence was necessary. They did not complain. They understood. In factories, workers built parts for the fleet. They worked long hours without complaint. They knew that every bolt, every wire, every piece of metal could be the difference between victory and defeat. In laboratories, scientists created new technologies, better shields, stronger weapons, faster engines. They pushed the boundaries of what was possible because they had no choice. Failure was not an option. Admiral received reports every day. He read about progress and problems. He made decisions and gave orders. He never showed weakness. He never showed doubt, but late at night, alone in his office, he would look at a picture on his desk. It was a picture of Ambassador. She was smiling, standing in front of the dawn of peace before her final mission. She looked happy, hopeful. "I will not let you down," would whisper to the picture. "I will make them pay, I promise." In the galaxy, rumors began to spread. Traders who passed near human space spoke of strange things. Flashes of light in distant nebulae, unexplained energy readings, ships that appeared for a moment and then vanished. "The humans are building something," some said. "Impossible," others replied. "They are too weak, they do not have the resources." Then what is causing those readings? No one could answer. The heard these rumors too. General reported them to Emperor. "Should we investigate?" asked. "Should we send a fleet to human space?" The Emperor waved his claw dismissively. "Why waste resources on insects? If they are building weapons, let them. Even if they have 1,000 ships, they cannot threaten us. Our fleet is vast. Our warriors are unstoppable. Let the humans play with their toys." It was his second mistake. In the shadows of space, Commander finalized the attack plans. Every target was chosen. Every timing was calculated. Every ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. 12 worlds were selected, not military bases, not outer colonies. 12 of the most important worlds in the Empire, including Prime. The attack would happen simultaneously. All 12 worlds would be hit at the exact same moment. They would have no time to send warnings, no time to call for help, no time to organize a defense. Called it Operation. On the eve of the attack, Admiral addressed the fleet. His face appeared on screens in every ship, seen by every soldier, every pilot, every crew member. "For 18 months we have been silent," he said. "The galaxy thinks we have given up. They think we are hiding in fear. Tomorrow they will learn the truth." He paused, his old eyes burning with determination. "We are not here for conquest. We are not here for glory. We are here for justice. We are here for and every member of her team. We are here to show the galaxy that human blood has a price." He took a deep breath. "Many of you may not return from this mission. I will not lie to you. The danger is real. But know this, what we do tomorrow will echo through history. Our children and their children will remember this day. The galaxy will remember this day. And the will never, ever forget." He raised his fist. "For Earth, for humanity, for Ambassador." Across the fleet, thousands of voices answered as one. "For." The ships began to move. They slipped into fold space, vanishing from normal view. For a few more hours, the galaxy would remain peaceful. And then the storm would begin. The attack began at midnight, standard time. Across the Empire, on 12 different worlds, the sky suddenly filled with light. Human warships emerged from fold space like ghosts appearing from darkness. One moment the space was empty. The next moment, hundreds of ships were there, weapons already firing. On Prime, Commander stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Vengeance of. She watched as her ships tore through the unprepared defenses. "All batteries fire at will," she ordered calmly. "Target military installations first, then orbital stations, then ground forces." They were caught completely by surprise. Their patrol ships were destroyed before they could even power up their weapons. Their orbital defense platforms exploded one after another. Their communication towers were hit with precision strikes, cutting them off from the rest of the Empire. "This is Commander of the Earth Defense Fleet," she broadcast on all frequencies. 18 months ago, you killed our ambassador. You killed her team. You laughed and celebrated. You thought we would do nothing." She paused as another explosion lit up her. "You were wrong." On the surface of Prime, chaos erupted. Soldiers ran to their posts, but many posts no longer existed. Commanders shouted orders, but their communications were jammed. Civilians ran through the streets, screaming, looking up at the burning sky. Emperor was in his palace when the attack began. He was woken by the sound of explosions. When he reached the throne room, his advisors were already there, their faces pale with fear. "What is happening?" demanded. "The humans," General said. His voice was shaking. "They are attacking. They came out of nowhere. They are everywhere." Everywhere? Did not understand. "What do you mean everywhere?" Showed him a display. Red dots appeared on 12 different planets. "They are hitting 12 of our worlds at the same time. Prime, Station, the shipyards, Fortress World, all of them." Stared at the display. This was impossible. Humans did not have this power. Humans were weak, primitive, nothing. "Our fleet," he said. "Call our fleet, destroy them." "I cannot reach our fleet," said. "Communications are blocked, our satellites are destroyed, we are blind." For the first time in his long life, Emperor felt something he had not felt in centuries: fear. Above Prime, Commander watched the battle unfold. Her ships were taking losses, but fewer than expected. They were too disorganized to mount an effective defense. Years of conquering weak enemies had made them lazy. "Commander," her tactical officer, a young man named, reported, "enemy reinforcements are trying to arrive from the outer system." "How many?" 80 warships, heavy cruisers." Nodded. "Good, they are coming to us, spring the trap." The reinforcements came in fast and hard. They were angry, eager to destroy the humans who dared to attack there. They formed a classic battle formation, a spearhead designed to punch through enemy lines. They did not see the human ships hiding in the shadow of the third moon. When the fleet was fully committed, 50 human destroyers appeared behind them. They opened fire with their main weapons, plasma cannons that burned hotter than stars. The ships were caught between two forces. Their formation collapsed. Watched as ship after ship exploded. She felt no joy, no satisfaction, only cold determination. "Finish them," she said, "then resume bombardment." On the other 11 worlds, similar scenes played out. Human fleets struck without mercy. Military bases were destroyed. Shipyards were reduced to rubble. Weapons factories burned. But the humans did not attack civilians. They did not bomb cities. They did not massacre the innocent. Every target was military. Every strike was precise. This was not genocide. This was punishment. On station, Captain led her squadron through the asteroid field surrounding the supply depot. Fighters chased her, their weapons blazing. "Stay tight," she ordered her pilots. "Lead them through the rocks." The human pilots knew the asteroid field. They had mapped it months ago with hidden probes. They did not know it. They crashed into rocks, collided with each other, lost formation. Brought her squadron around and destroyed the supply depot with a single salvo. Millions of tons of food, fuel, and weapons meant for the war machine disappeared in a ball of fire. "Target destroyed," she reported, moving to secondary objective. Back on Prime, Emperor had made it to his emergency bunker. The walls shook as human weapons hit the palace above. Dust fell from the ceiling. "How is this possible?" he muttered. "They are just humans, insects, nothing." General stood nearby, his golden armor covered in dust. "My Emperor, we must escape. We have ships in the underground hangar. We can." "Escape?" turned on him, his yellow eyes blazing. "I am the Emperor of the... I do not escape. I do not run from humans." A massive explosion shook the bunker. The lights flickered. "My Emperor," said quietly, "if you die here, the Empire dies with you. Your heirs are on other worlds. Let them continue your work. Let them rebuild, but you must survive." Stared at his general. He wanted to argue. He wanted to fight, but he knew was right. If he died here, everything would fall apart. "Prepare the ship," he said through clenched teeth. "But know this, I will return. And when I do, every human in the galaxy will pay for this day." In orbit, Commander received a report from her sensors. "Commander, we detect a small ship leaving the palace. High speed, heading for the edge of the system." watched the dot on her screen. She knew who was on that ship. Should we pursue? Asked. Thought for a moment. She could order her ships to chase the Emperor. She could end the threat forever. It would be easy. But that was not the mission. Let him go, she said. Looked surprised. Commander. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. We are here to teach. The Emperor needs to survive. He needs to go back to his people and tell them what happened. He needs to spend the rest of his life knowing that he ran from humans. She smiled, but it was cold. Death would be too kind. Let him live with the shame. The battle continued for 6 more hours. When it was over, the military was in ruins. Their 12 most important worlds were crippled. Their fleet was scattered. Their pride was shattered. Commander ordered all ships to cease fire. She broadcast another message, this time to the entire galaxy. People of the Empire, people of all worlds under their rule, listen carefully. What happened today was not an act of conquest. We did not come to take your worlds. We did not come to enslave you. We came to deliver justice. She paused, looking at the camera with steady eyes. 18 months ago, your Emperor killed Ambassador of Earth. She came in peace. She offered friendship. She was murdered for it. Her team was murdered. Her message of hope was answered with blood. She held up a picture of. This is the woman your Emperor killed. She believed in peace. She believed in kindness. She believed that even the could change. She was wrong about that. But she was right about one thing. Humans do not give up. Humans do not forget. And humans do not forgive those who kill our people without consequence. She lowered the picture. Today you learned what happens when you make enemies of humanity. We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants, but we protect our own. Cross us and face the storm. Leave us in peace and we will be the best friends you could ask for. The choice is yours. She cut the transmission. Admiral watched from his command ship, far from the battle. When his message ended, he allowed himself a small smile. It is done, he said quietly. Can you see this? Your death was not in vain. He looked at the tactical display showing the crippled worlds. It was not enough. It would never be truly enough. But it was a start. All ships, he ordered. Begin withdrawal, return to Earth. Our work here is done. The human fleet vanished as quickly as it had appeared. One moment they were there. The next, only burning wreckage remained. In the ruins of his palace, Emperor received reports of the devastation. 12 worlds, hundreds of ships, millions of soldiers, all destroyed or damaged in a single night. By insects. By humans. He sat alone in the darkness of his escape ship, staring at nothing. For the first time in 300 years, the Empire knew what it felt like to be afraid. The weeks after the attack were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Empire, once feared by all, was suddenly quiet. Their mighty fleet had been cut in half in a single night. Their most important worlds were in ruins. Their Emperor had fled like a coward. Across 200 star systems, the conquered peoples began to whisper. Did you hear? The humans attacked the. Impossible, the humans are weak. Not anymore. They destroyed 12 worlds in one night. Then maybe we can fight too. Emperor returned to what remained of his capital. The imperial palace was a shell of broken stone and melted metal. The great statues of warriors lay shattered in the streets. Smoke still rose from fires that had burned for days. He called his surviving generals to a meeting. Only 7 of the original 20 came. The others were dead. We must strike back, said. His voice was rough, tired. He looked older than before. We must show the galaxy that they are still strong. The generals were silent. They looked at each other with uncertain eyes. Finally, General spoke. My Emperor, strike back with what? Half our fleet is gone, our shipyards are destroyed, our weapons factories are rubble, it would take years to rebuild. Then we will take years, snapped. I do not care how long it takes, the humans must be destroyed. And in those years, continued carefully, what happens to the empire? Our subjects are watching. They saw us lose. They saw us run. If we look weak for too long. He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Sat in silence. He knew what was saying. The empire was built on fear. When conquered people stopped being afraid, they started to rebel. And now, for the first time in centuries, they had a reason to hope. What do you suggest? Asked through clenched teeth. Took a deep breath. Peace. Peace? Slammed his fist on the table. You want me to make peace with the species that destroyed our worlds, that humiliated us before the entire galaxy? I want the empire to survive, said. If we fight the humans now, we will lose more, maybe lose everything. But if we make peace, we can rebuild. We can grow strong again. And then when we are ready. His yellow eyes gleamed. Then we can have our revenge. Stared at his general for a long moment. He wanted to refuse. Every part of his pride screamed at him to refuse. But he was old, he was tired, and he knew was right. Contact the humans, he said finally. The words tasted like poison. Tell them the wish to negotiate. On Earth, Admiral received the message. He read it 3 times, then looked at Commander. They want peace, he said. Raised an eyebrow. Do we trust them? No, of course not, but we accept anyway. Stood and walked to his window. Outside, the sun was setting over the Pacific Ocean. The sky was painted in shades of orange and red. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to become what they are. We wanted them to understand the cost of what they did. They understand now. And if they attack again someday? Smiled grimly. Then we teach them again, as many times as it takes. The peace talks were held on a neutral station in deep space. Both sides brought small delegations. No weapons were allowed. Cameras broadcast everything to the galaxy. Admiral arrived with Commander and a small team. They wore simple uniforms, dark blue with silver trim. They carried no symbols of rank or power. They looked like ordinary people. Emperor arrived in his finest robes and his silver crown. He was surrounded by guards and advisors. He tried to look powerful, but everyone could see the truth. He was not here as a conqueror. He was here as a loser. The 2 leaders met in a simple room with a round table. They sat across from each other. The tension was thick enough to cut. Admiral said, his voice was flat, controlled. You requested this meeting. You requested peace, replied. I am here to discuss terms. Terms? Eyes narrowed. What terms do you want? Land, wealth, slaves? Shook his head slowly. We want none of those things. We are not like you. Then what do you want? Reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. He placed it on the table. It was a photograph. The same photograph that had sat on his desk for 18 months. Ambassador, smiling in front of her ship. I want you to apologize, said. Not to me, to her, to the memory of the woman you killed. Stared at the photograph, his face twisted with anger. You destroyed 12 of my worlds for this, for an apology. I destroyed 12 of your worlds because you murdered our people, said calmly. I am asking for an apology because Ambassador deserved better than what you gave her. She came to you with open hands. She offered peace. You killed her for sport. She was weak, said. She was brave, replied. She walked into your palace knowing she might die. She stood before you and spoke of hope while you laughed at her. She faced your blade without tears. That is not weakness. That is the kind of strength you will never understand. The room was silent. Generals shifted uncomfortably. Commander watched with cold eyes. Finally spoke. If I apologize, what do I get in return? Peace, real peace. We will not attack your worlds again. We will not support rebellions in your empire. We will leave you alone to rebuild. In return, you will leave us alone. You will not threaten our worlds. You will not harm our people. And you will remember this day. You will remember what happens when you make enemies of humanity. Thought for a long moment. His pride screamed at him to refuse, but his mind knew better. The humans had proven themselves. They were not weak. They were dangerous. Fighting them further would only bring more pain. Slowly, painfully, he stood. He walked around the table until he stood before Admiral. His guards moved to follow, but he waved them back. He looked down at the old human, looked up at him without fear. Then, for the first time in his 300-year reign, Emperor of the Nelt. "I apologize," he said. The words came out rough, forced. "For the death of Ambassador, for the death of her team, for the insult to your species." He looked at the photograph on the table. "She deserved better. I was wrong." Nodded slowly, "Thank you." He reached out and helped stand. The Emperor looked surprised by the gesture. "We do not want to be your enemy," said. "Ambassador believed in peace. She believed even you could change. Maybe she was wrong. Maybe you will never change, but we can hope. We can try. That is what humans do." He picked up the photograph and put it back in his pocket. "Go home, Emperor. Rebuild your empire. Treat your subjects better. And remember, the next time you think about killing a human envoy, remember what it cost you. Remember the burning skis. Remember the destroyed fleets. Remember this moment when you knelt before an old man from a small planet." He turned and walked away. Commander followed. The human delegation left without another word. Stood alone in the room, his guards watching in shock. The most powerful being in the galaxy had just knelt before a human. Nothing would ever be the same. In the months that followed, the galaxy changed. Species that had lived in fear began to stand taller. Some negotiated better terms with some formed alliances with each other. Some reached out to Earth, curious about the humans who had done the impossible. Earth welcomed them. Trade began. Cultural exchange followed. Humans shared their music, their art, their strange belief that every species had value. Some aliens thought it was foolish. Others found it refreshing. A statue was built on Earth in the center of the United Nations Plaza. It showed Ambassador standing tall, her hand extended in peace. The plaque beneath it read, "She reached out with an open hand. We will never forget her sacrifice. We will never stop reaching." Commander visited the statue 1 year after the war. She stood before it in silence, the wind blowing through her hair. "We did it," she whispered. "We made them pay. We showed them what humans can do, but more than that, we showed them what humans believe in. You would have hated the war. You would have hated the violence, but I hope you can forgive us. We did it for you." She placed a flower at the base of the statue. "Rest now, the galaxy remembers." Far away, on the rebuilt capital of the Empire, Emperor sat alone in his new throne room. It was smaller than the old one, less grand. He had not rebuilt the weapons on the walls or the skulls of conquered enemies. Instead, there was only one decoration, a human photograph hanging in a simple frame. Ambassador, smiling, every day looked at that photograph. He did not know why he kept it. Maybe to remind himself of his mistake. Maybe to remember the woman who had shown more courage than any warrior. Maybe just to feel the shame that he deserved. The humans had not conquered his empire. They had done something worse. They had changed him, and he would never be able to forget. In her grave on Earth, Ambassador slept peacefully. She had given her life for peace. In the end, she had gotten it. Not the way she planned, not without blood and fire, but peace nonetheless. Her final words echoed through history. Stay kind, stay hopeful, but also stay strong. Humanity had listened, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again.